All right, Nate here in San Francisco. It is Super Bowl week. This might not be coming out Super Bowl week, but I am talking to Bills quarterback Josh Allen, representing Natrol. Thank you for joining me, Josh. Great to see you. How's everything going?
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Thanks for having me on. Everything's we're going good. Obviously wish we were playing this weekend, but at this point, and got to live in reality, and it is what it is.
It is, yeah. All right, recovering from one of the 7 injuries you might have gotten against the Jaguars. I'm sure that might be nice to maybe heal it up, but yeah, probably would have been better in the Bay Area. But Josh, I really wanted to talk to you too about, there's been so much talk about your growth and how much you've developed your game and what you've worked on, especially mechanics wise. And I know that might be kind of an overdone conversation, but there's something that I always also thought that really you've grown your game mentally. I think your pre-snap operation has been kind of an underrated aspect of your game, changing protections and everything. I wanted to ask you, did you have an aha moment or something that maybe clicked for you, like not just jumping to the NFL, but maybe controlling the pre-snap stuff as opposed to just doing your post-snap amazingness stuff?
Yeah, I think going back to year 2, honestly, with about halfway through the season, I felt like protection-wise, I understood what was going on, figuring out that it is kind of a numbers game, right? Like, how do I get, if I see 4 to a side, how do I get a guard, the backside guard over to that side and making sure that I have constant communication, with my O-line. Now I have a fantastic group in front of me, between Connor and Dave and Saibo. Like they're always looking back and making sure that I'm seeing things. If we get double A mug, it's like, hey, we got double A. I automatically get the back out. Let me see what's going on, trying to pull someone out. If I don't, probably feeling like it's zone, getting the back up into like a Frazier, kind of that sniffer position where he gets to slide with the O-line. So, I think it's just years of repetition and certain looks, but making sure that we have a good system in place in terms of making sure I can call it and make sure the O-line gets it too. So that comes with a lot of smart guys in the room, right. O-line coaches, O-line in general, and just trying to figure out each plan each week.
Was it the Dolphins game that kind of clicked for you? I think it was your second year. I remember at Miami, you kind of had a lot of communication stuff. You guys were using a lot more, like maybe no huddle, maybe not tempo, but you're calling stuff. And I vividly remember you calling a play Dalmatian, and I want to say it was a spot concept.
But I threw it to John Brown backside cover 2 for a touchdown. Yeah. I think that's that was one of them. I think it's honestly when I got taken out in the Patriots game, my second year. I threw 3 picks in the first half. I think I got knocked out in the third or fourth quarter. Knocked out meaning I got knocked out of the game. Yeah. I didn't sleep. So, I think that's when it kind of clicked, and I was just like, you know what? Let's sit down. Let's be a little more methodical in my process. Figure this out a little bit better and have a better plan going into the game.
Yeah, I think coming from your first start against Minnesota, it's a lot different than you maybe play now. There's still some there, you're hurdling guys in the middle of the field and everything, but maybe talk about like how you already kind of hinted at it, but maybe the difference, maybe rookie year Josh to now, and just maybe how you view the game. We've already kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe just some of the things that maybe an underrated aspect of the game that you're like, oh, wow, I had no idea I had to do this, or I had no idea I had to pay attention to this.
Yeah, I look at a lot of, like, everyone talks, like growing up as quarterbacks, the first thing you look at were the safeties. Yeah. I more so look at the D-line, right? Like understanding what front they're in. If I see a 6 tech and he's typically a 9 tech, does that alert pressure? Are they a blitz the bubble team? So I kind of figure out early where to set the protection, and obviously safeties can lie to you now, and a lot of different coverages that they're throwing at the wall. But typically these D linemen that are in stances, they're not lying too often, and do I have a D end that's always in a 3-point stance or 4-point stance on the ground, hands in the dirt, and now he's standing up? It's like, we probably think that he's dropping here. We'll slide, get the protection going the opposite way. And again, just the hots and the communications with the receivers, I think that's something early on in my career that I didn't do a good enough job of. And I'm still, again, this last year, I feel like there was times where maybe you're not getting lazy with it, but it's just like things like I've done this for so many years. It's like, all right, I see him coming. It's like, I still got to point, make sure that receiver knows what I'm looking at. So it's not just in my mind. So again, still things to work on throughout the years, and still feel like I'm getting better on that aspect as well.
You mentioned kind of safeties can lie, and how, I would say, if if you look around the NFL, how many teams are inverting stuff or having, guy drop into the robber spot, but it's not one robber, it's two robber, variations of Tampa, kind of everything everyone doing. What is it? Maybe, I know sometimes you don't want to talk about it because give something away, but is there a defense or a coordinator or something that you're kind of just like, oh, that was annoying? Or somebody that you give props to that you're like, that's been a lot, like maybe you succeeded and you won that game somewhere, like an accomplished game plan that you executed, something you read the whole week on third down that you executed against. Was there a play or a defense that you went against that, like in your career, that you're kind of proud of?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Vance Joseph with the Broncos,
oh, yeah.
The Fangio tree of just, bringing guys to the line of scrimmage and having guys stand up. And the hardest, in my opinion, is when, you're able to bring 3 non-known rushers, so they're not ID'd as big guys for the O-line. And then you're able to drop, 2 D linemen into spots that the non-known rushers would be in. That makes it pretty difficult in terms of just IDing, making sure that we can pick up, because sometimes you run out of guys to pick them up. So I think that would be probably my answer. Yeah, when you got a bunch of guys at the line of scrimmage and it doesn't feel like 0, but it's presenting itself as 0. Yeah, so that's now we do a good job in Buffalo, and Joe does a good job of calling it and just giving the options to get to screens, because sometimes these D linemen, they're not thinking screen. They're like, I got to get to a spot. They're putting their head back and running. So if you can catch them in those situations, it usually hits pretty good.
You guys hired defense coordinator Jim Leonhard. I think officially, I think I can say this, because everything's rumored now and like interest and everything. But hired as defense coordinator. I know him a little bit from Wisconsin. We don't have overlap, but it's just kind of an alum thing. I have great respect for him. When he called plays at Wisconsin, it was just tremendous. But he's been working with Vance Joseph, and it does some interesting things. But maybe speak to some of those Broncos assistant coaches you hired. What are you excited about Pete Carmichael bringing to the table on top of Leonhard as well on the defensive side? What are you excited about with maybe the new additions to the staff?
Yeah, obviously it's two guys that are very well recognized in this league. I know Coach Leonhard was one of the biggest names out there in the defensive coordinator market. So happy that we were able to bring him on board. And obviously Pete Carmichael, who's been in New Orleans for a long time, has obviously been around Sean Payton for a long time, knows Joe Brady. But I think, just having that experience of being around Drew Brees for so long, and, the play action pass game, and maybe a little bit of the vertical passing game that he has familiarity with. So very excited to have both of them on board, and, very, very much looking forward to the future with them.
Maybe he's got some 2006 Saints, 2007 Saints, because that's when Drew Brees was chucking it. I hopefully I'm very much assuming you've already watched some Drew Brees film over the years, so probably going to be very exciting. All right, my last question for you. I noticed that you and maybe some of the other Bills have gone into board games and the Settlers of Catan, or Catan, however you want to say it, Catan. I'm a huge board game nut. Have you expanded beyond that and more board games add the repertoire, or is that the one that's just the ace?
That's typically the ace. We do a little bit of poker. But like, naturally, I think of camp, right, where it's just like we're grinding long days, and it's like 9:00 in the because we go off campus to St. John Fisher's in Rochester. So we're as a team into basically a college university dorm.
It's camp,
and it's camp. It's awesome. But we're sitting there playing Catan, and I'm typically the winner. Like Dalton, Spencer, Dawson Knox, those are the other 3 guys that are the main core 4. We do have the expansion pack with 6.
Beautiful.
But I mean, typically take one of those, get into my room, take a couple Natrol gummies, try to get some refreshing sleep, and wake up ready to go.
That's awesome. If you need more recommendations, Carcassonne would be another one out there on there. Highly recommend that. Concordia. Some simple, they're called gateway games, but good for 4. So that's actually kind of perfect. Are you a longest road type of guy? Or are you...
It just depends on the flow.
You got to read it.
This is my claim to fame in this game. I won a game against those 3 guys without building a road.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Man, that's more on them than you.
Yeah. I mean, I had 2 cities. I had a very, very large import of, ore, wheat, and sheep, and just decided to go crazy on the D cards, and ended up largest army. Yeah, I had largest army. I had no brick or no wood. I just went straight D cards. Largest army, and then obviously the 4 victory points. So it was pretty good.
That's awesome. I'm glad we got that capper right there. But Josh, thank you so much for joining me. And please, you talked about taking those 2 gummies from Nitrile. Please tell me about that a little bit. Natural, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just something that I've evolved into over the last couple of years of one, trying to fix my diet and making sure that my training is up to par. But then sleep was kind of the one thing that I was maybe ignoring a little bit, but obviously found Natrol and, just trying to get that refreshed feeling when I wake up and getting that restful sleep. So I wake up refreshed and, obviously this off season, I'm having a baby. I'm not having a baby, but me and my wife are having a baby and having something like that to help me get sleep because I know for sure that I'm going to need it.
Get it now. Yeah. When my dad had me and my sister both during training camp, he got 1 day off. Chuck Knox wasn't giving that time off. So best of luck.
Exactly.
Josh, thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck this year. Best of luck on everything. Good luck on building those longest roads or not, whatever you want to do. But Josh, thank you so much.
Nate. Appreciate you.